Happy New Year. It's January 5th, 2022, and I'm Kimberly Jolly from Fat Quarter Shop FlossTube. And today is pretty exciting. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through all of my Stitchy plans for 2022, and I'm going to go in detail about what pattern I'm using, how I'm going to stitch, kind of my plans, and how I plan my year. After that, I'm going to show you all of the Jolly Housewives that I got done, and those are so cute. You're going to love them. And then we'll go through some other what's new items. So we have a big show planned today, and if you have any questions, just ask as we go and I'll answer them. And we're going to just jump right in. The way that I've broken this up is I have my cross stitch journal, and in my journal I listed the projects I'm working on. And they're not in a particular order. They're more as things started coming in at the end of 2021, I started listing them in my book. But I will talk about my monthly plans and how I'm going to do them, whether it's the beginning of the month, end of the month, that kind of thing. And these will be things that you'll be able to see that I stitched throughout the year. So we're going to just jump right in. So I've got my cross stitch journal, and I already have 28 items on my list, which is quite a lot, but last year I completed 100 items, so I'll probably go through 2 or 3 of these books this year. We're going to start off with the first item, which is Fall on the Farm. It is designed by Little House Needleworks, and I'm going to pull everything out of my bag. So this pattern is Fall on the Farm. It is a 9-part series. I'm going to stitch it as one piece, and only the first part is out so far. I will be stitching on 16 count Beautiful Beige by Witchelt, and this one I'm going to be stitching 2 hours a week. So I'm going to do this a little bit different, and every week I'm going to set a timer and do 2 hours a week. Once I get to that 2 hours, I'm going to finish, and then we'll see how far I get. I think it'll be October or so. Now, to make the whole thing that's 3 by 3, the stitch count comes to 195 by 195, which is about 12 1/4 inch square. Now, I have all my floss. If you watch yesterday's video, you will see that I changed some of the floss, and I put these on the brand new Lori Holt Farm Fresh egg drops. And what I did is I put the cute little side here, but then on the back I put the color where I can see it. And so I haven't started this, but when you watch the live stream next week, you will see how far I get. So these are the colors. Now I have everything written here if you want to write down any of my changes, but that is my first project. Now also, just so you know, on the back of this pattern, Diane from Little House Needleworks also lists DMC colors. So if you don't want to have the fancy floss, which is Classic Colorworks, which is more expensive, you can purchase the DMC. Those color changes are on the back of the pattern. I can't show you because the pattern is actually on the back where that is, so I don't want to confuse you. Now again, I'm stitching on 16 count Beautiful Beige by Witchelt. The called for fabric is 30 count Portobello linen. So that is all about Fall on the Farm. So that's my first project. And on this, I'm trying to give you all the details and give you alternate options also. The second item in my book is Nutcracker Village. This one is designed by Country Cottage Needleworks. So far, she has 2 of the 11 parts released. I will be stitching this as one piece. if you go to the Country Cottage Needleworks website, she shows the layout of where each of these go if you stitch it as one piece. I'm going to stitch it as one piece, which is stitch count 236 by 217. I am going to be stitching on the called for fabric, which is raw silver Belfast 32 count linen by Zweigart. We are out of stock, but we're hoping more will arrive at the end of February. Now, making it with this fabric, it's going to come out finished about 13 5/8 by 14 3/4. I haven't used the linen before, but Cheryl recommends using a 5-inch Morgan hoop, and so I'm going to try that out, and I'm going to let you know how I think that goes. I am going to be using the called for floss, and I went ahead and put them on the floss bitties. And I think, yeah, I put them on the Stitchy floss bitties just because I wanted them to be cute. So this one, my goal is to complete one pattern each month. So this will be January, and then I'll move to this one in February. Since it is an 11-part series, I hope to be completed by the end of November. Now, if you don't want to stitch on the raw linen, I have a recommendation for Ada. You can try either the 14 count Beautiful Beige and the 16 count Beautiful Beige. Now, it looks totally different. This linen has metallic threads in it, so you will not, that is not made in an Ada version. So if you're looking for something that's exactly like the pattern, this is the only option, is the Belfast linen. I will be doing a video on my top 10 tips for stitching on this metallic linen early in the year. So that is our second item, Nutcracker Village by Country Cottage Needleworks. And you'll notice in my book, I do write down the parts, and so I'll keep track of how much time it takes for each part. And the reason I do that is when I'm scheduling, let's say March, I will look at how long January and February took so that I can schedule that amount of time for part 3, if that makes sense. So that's kind of how I kind of track time. My third item is Vintage Housewives. I'm going to show you the finished piece just so you can see that. I've shown it before, but you can see the finished piece. There we go. So this is Vintage Housewives by Lori Holt. I am going to stitch on 25 count Lugana in Cloud, which is this fabric. This comes on really nice cardstock paper. It's lots and lots of pages and really thick. It is sold as a paper pattern now only, and it will eventually be a PDF in 6 months. Now we have this brand new floss keeper, and I have my floss on there. We also have the Denim Daisy project bag, which is brand new, and we have the enamel needle minder that's an apron. So it all kind of is all matchy-matchy, so I'm going to keep it all together in here. And this is how the inside of my bag looks. And what I do, and what I've decided to do is, on the pink you needed 2 skeins, so I put 2 skeins on here, and that's just too much. So when there is more than 1 skein, I'm going to just leave them off and then add it. There are 2 extra holes, and what I decided is, as I'm stitching, if I have like 1 or 2 strands left over of some colors, I'm going to just put them up here to, you know, just so it's easy to get to. I'm going to be using the called for floss, which is DMC. So again, stitching on 25 count Cloud Lugana. This piece is 159 stitches by 195. So that comes out to 12 3/4 by 15 5/8. Again, called for floss. My goal is to complete 1 room a month. Our Ada recommendation would be 14 count Antique White by Witchell, which is slightly brighter. Now I'm going to show you a pop-up of how I'm going to be stitching this throughout the year. So you can see I've got each room is a month, and we end in December with the second part of the border. So January will be that first room. So my goal is to do 1 room a month, and at the end of the year, this whole project will be done, and it will be so cute. So that is number 3 in my book. Number 4 is also by Lori Holt. It's Flea Market Baskets. So this one is also stitched on 25 count. Hold on, I'm gonna look at something. So this is also stitched on 25 count Cloud Lugana, but with the thread, it looks slightly different. There's a mistake. So this is Flea Market Baskets, 25 count Cloud Lugana. It's 183 by 183, so that's about 14 3/4 by 14 3/4. The pattern lists DMC colors only. And this one, I'm going to show a pop-up of that one. And this one, we're going to be starting in the very center and moving to the outside. My goal is to finish it through the end of December. So I've broken it up. This is on the blog also, but I'm going to be showing you each month my progress. And of course, on something like this, if you want to do this faster, you can do more or less than we suggest. We're also recommending 25 count Antique White for this one. So that is number 4 in our book. Number 5 is a little bit different for me, so this is kind of exciting. This one is called Farm Life. It's designed by It's So Emma. This was finished by Priscilla Blaine of Stitching with the Housewives. The sample was stitched on 16 count Amber Ada by Witchell. I will be stitching mine on 14 count, so mine will end up slightly larger. The pattern is a paper pattern by It's So Emma, and it's a color pattern. It's easy to read. Yeah, it is color. And on this one, we list DMC colors and color and cotton colors, so you can use either. I will be using color and cotton, and I already put them on my Farm Fresh egg drops. And on this one, I'm going to be using the Prim Sheep Needle Minder just because it matches. So this one we also have a pop-up for, and this one we're going to do the cow in January, the pig in February, the sheep in March, and the text in April. And on this one, the stitch count is 135 by 101, And if I use 14 count, it's going to come out to 9 5/8 by 7 1/4. But if you stitch on 16 count, it will be 6 3/8 by 8 1/2. So that is number 5. And this one, in the live streams, I will go into detail about how the designer stitched to get the variegation and what I do, since mine will be slightly different. And so that will be fun to look at that, since these colors do have a lot of variegation. So that is Farm Life by It's So Emma. Number 6 is the Heartfelt Charity 2022. This is an event we do every year to raise money for Make-A-Wish. We've currently raised over $24,000 for Make-A-Wish for 2022, so that's so awesome because that's almost 3 wishes. This is a completely free pattern by Fat Quarter Shop. I'm going to be having everything in my really big bag. So let's start with my bag. This is the Heartfelt project bag. It's really big. And we made this one really big because we also wanted it to work for the quilting size blocks. So this will work for quilting or cross stitch because there is also a quilt pattern to go with it. I'm going to be stitching with the called for fabric, which is 14 count pale gray gingham by Fabric Flair. The stitch count is 123 by 127, so it finishes at about 8 7/8 by 9 1/4. On our pattern, we list DMC or Aurifil conversions. It's going to be a free pattern that starts in February. I'm going to be using the Aurifil thread box. I'm going to be putting that in our brand new floss box, Heartfelt floss box, and it's a magnetic box. And everything fits in there, and you can put needles and your needle minder in here too. I just haven't done that yet. And if you're going to use the DMC, you can use the Heartfelt floss bitties. If you're using Aurifloss, you don't need those, so we wanted to have an option for DMC or Aurifloss. And this is how the pattern looks. Now, since we have got to $20,000, we did release the thread colors and the recommendations for what you need, so if you want to change your colors. This design is based on a quilt designed by Corey Yoder, and it's also based on her fabric, A Beautiful Day. Our blog, The Jolly Jabber, has our release schedule, and it has everything detailed. We're going to start with the border, and it has all the dates, and each of the columns will be a different date. So all of that is on our blog, and I'm excited about starting this one, and I'm excited about using Aurifloss because Aurifloss doesn't give me knots, which is really nice. And I also love this fabric. And Priscilla Blaine did finish this for us. Moving to projects 7, 8, 9, and 10. They all go together. So I really liked the doodles that came out last year by Heart and Hand. So she had spring, summer, autumn, and I just loved them. I really enjoyed stitching her Valentine's projects in 2020, and when I did that, I stitched on the wheat. Sorry, this one I stitched that on wheat, but this time I'm going to stitch this on oatmeal 25 count Lugana by Lori. I bought one package, cut it up 4 times, serged or zigzagged the edges. One side is modeled, one side is plain, and I'm going to stitch these on the modeled side. So what I'm going to do is the first quarter, I'm going to do spring, second quarter summer, third quarter autumn, fourth quarter pop-up, which is winter, which came out yesterday. So she just released the cover yesterday. The pattern will be coming in stock in a couple of weeks. I am going to be stitching with all of her called for colors, and her called for colors are a combination of Weeks Dye Works and Classic Color Works, and she does not have a DMC conversion. She just has the fancy floss. So I'm going to be again stitching on 25 count Lugana oatmeal. If you would like an Ada conversion, our Ada recommendation would also be by Lori Holt, the oatmeal. And you can see it's slightly different, but it would look just as great. So that is my project 7, 8, 9, and 10. And so you can see I don't have the pattern yet, so I haven't written the stitch count or the size, but Cecilia did send me the threads that I needed so I could go ahead and order them. So I will be putting these in 4 different bags and stitching them again first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. So I put those kind of all together, and I think they're gonna look awesome. This is one where maybe I can find a spot on my wall and then switch it out. But honestly, if you put all 4 together on a wall, they would look really, really good. Now the next 2 projects in my journal are not released yet, but I can tease them a little bit. I have nothing else to show you because they're models that are in progress. But we are going to be releasing Cut Sew Press by Lori Holt. And that is, since we're already designing it, I already put it in my book so that I would make sure to schedule it. When it comes out, I will have a release information and when I'm sewing it. Bloom Where You're Planted is an It's Sew Emma design that you guys are going to absolutely love. It is going to be 3 designs in one. So you can either stitch it individually or as a set, and there's also a border. So it's going to be really cool. You're going to love it, and I'm going to be stitching this in the spring, probably part of Mania. It's going to be awesome. So those 2 are not kitted yet, but since we're on the radar, I like to put them in my book. Now the next couple of pages all go together. So you can see kind of as I was putting them in my book, I was thinking about different designers and kind of trying to put all their stuff together. So as you know, last year I was stitching the Calendar Crate series and February came out. I have stitched all of these on 14 count Ada chalkboard black. There is also black linen available or black Ada available if you wanted a blacker Ada. And so this one is actually 2 charts. Well, they all are. So I put the large one on the left, the small one on the right, and I'm using all of the called for colors. And these I actually got as part of the club that is now sold out. But I'm going to be doing this in February as part of Be Mine. And in the beginning of February, we will give you my Be Mine schedule and how I'm going to break that out. So this one will be part of Be Mine. Now the next one is a pop-up. It is March Calendar Crates. She just showed this, Priscilla and Chelsea just showed this on their video on Saturday. This is 2 parts, so you can see the top and the bottom. So I have already put those in my book. I'm going to be using 14 count chalkboard black with the called for colors. And she told me the colors already, since as a store we need to order them. So I've got that scheduled. Now, I haven't seen the others, but I do know that they still have April, May, and June. Now, I'm going to stitch those probably in their month. So for February, I will stitch in February. March, I will stitch both in March. April in April, and the May, I will probably stitch these throughout FQS Stitch Mania. So that is through Project 20, and I've still got a lot more. Actually 22. My next one is Glitter Village, and this has been on my list for a very long time, and I have really wanted to do it for a very long time. This one is going to be stitched on 32 count Belfast Raw Silver by Zweigart. Again, that will be restocked in February. It is a 9-part series. I am going to stitch it all as one big piece, and you could also stitch it individually. The stitch count is 177 by 177, which comes out to about 11 inches square. I'm going to be using the called for floss with no changes, and I'm going to be using the fancy floss. So I have already pulled all of the fancy floss, and this is part of it. There's a lot more. I have all of my extras in here. So in the small bag, I put my remaining patterns, because there's 9 patterns, and my remaining floss. So this is going to be part 1, Glitter House 1. This is by Country Cottage Needleworks. Now, this also uses the Au Versoix metallic gold, so we're going to have to see what I think of this when I try it. And this pattern is written for Classic Colorworks and the Au Versoix. We will have a thread pack soon. We're just waiting for all the thread to come in. But if you don't want to use fancy floss, there is also DMC listed. And if you would like to use Ada, you could use Beautiful Beige, 14 or 16 count. This one, again, I'm going to be stitching 1 a month. So House 1, January, House 2, February, etc. And I'm going to be trying the 5-inch Morgan hoop also on this one, just like I am on Nutcracker Village. So that is Glitter Village. My next one is a different designer. The fabric, okay, the pattern I'm using is Follow Your Heart. The designer is Silver Creek Samplers. I'm going to be stitching this one on the 28 count wheat, which is the fabric I used in 2020 that I really liked. This one is a little bit smaller than I thought it would be. It's only 80 stitches by 80, which is very small. So with using the 28 count, it's going to come out to about 5 3/4 inch square. I have changed my colors on here. There are only 4 colors, and I'm going to be using Cherry Cobbler. So this is my wheat. Cherry Cobbler, Pebble Beach, Jakey Brown, and Sticks and Twigs. And what I went ahead and did is put the symbol in my book, so when I start stitching, I will know already where everything goes. And then on my pattern, I also, let me see if I can show you. I also wrote it on my pattern. So right here, she has Weeks Dye Works and DMC listed, and then I went ahead and wrote in my my colors. And she does have, if you don't want to use the Weeks Dye Works, she does have DMC. I'm going to stitch this in 5 different parts throughout our Be Mine 2022 event, and this is the one that I pulled the fabric from and the thread from that will match my 2022 designs that are by Heart and Hand. I had stitched Collector's Heart by Heart and Hand, and I had also stitched another one called Always by Heart and Hand, and it was a freebie. I wanted this to match so that all 3 pieces could stitch together. Now, if you want to stitch this, but you don't want to stitch on the Lugana, and I did pick this fabric. The called for fabric on this is 18 count Seraphim Time. If you would like an alternative to what I'm offering, you can use Beautiful Beige or Amber Ada. Now, you will see that my fabric is much darker than this fabric. If you wanted something this light, you might want to go with like an ivory or the color I used to use all the time, lamb's wool. So those are some different options. So that is going to be Silver Creek samplers. It's going to be the very first time I have stitched Silver Creek samplers, but I'm trying to include more designers. Oops. So that is project 24. Are you guys tired yet? Oh my gosh, like I am so excited for 2022. We're going to have so much fun. So in 2022, this is going to be our 2nd year working on a project called Stronger Together. This year we have teamed up with Charisse Spain as the designer. This is similar to Heartfelt, where we raise money for a charity. This year we're going to be raising money for UNCF, and you can read all about them. We have everything listed on our blog. We have made this sample in 2 different colorways: Subtle, which is this one, and Striking, which is more bold. It will be completely free, and it's going to be part of Black History Month, which is in February. So this is the Subtle version, this is the Striking version, and the quilt was designed by Charisse using Art Gallery Basics. So we started with that, and then we converted to some DMC colors. And the sample here is stitched on Waxing Moon Dyed Effect 14 count Ada, which is right here. And it looks like this before you stitch on it. So that's what's called for. It's, again, completely free. We do ask for a donation to UNCF to help with college expenses. Now, what I'm going to do is totally different because I want to do something different. So what I picked for mine is 18 count white petty point on gray. Now, when this comes out to 4 3/4 by 4 3/4 using 14 count. Mine is going to be much smaller at 3 5/8 by 3 5/8. I have, and the stitch count is 65 by 65. I am changing to all blues. So I picked from my NPI stash of threads that I get in the club and the threads that I already have. I just picked 4 blues, and mine's going to look totally different. We do have a pop-up of this one, and you can see that it is throughout Black History Month. We're going to start with the border. We're going to move to texture blocks, and then we're going to move to, let me see, legacy blocks, and then the center is a zigzag. Now what you'll see is I put my DMC colors for the first couple, but on the zigzag, I'm going to use the other colors also. I'm just not sure exactly which ones I'm going to put in that zigzag in the center. So because of that, I put TBD. And I'm going to stitch this in February. And I put these on my Stitchy floss bitties. And if you want to stitch it similar to ours, we are recommending the 14 count Waxing Moon by Fabric Flair. It came out really nice. I do love the texture in this, so I am hoping to work on this fabric at some point because it's it just came out, I don't know, it just came out really nice. Something about the color of this I'm really loving. So that is number 25. Number 26 is pretty new. Now this one, we have a pop-up for this one. This is called Roses Are Red. We are pre-selling this pattern, so you'll see that I don't have the pattern in my bag because it's not here yet. But Priscilla and Chelsea showed this, and this is part of their Back Up the Truck series. And I have made a couple of them. I haven't made all, but I've made a lot of them. I'm going to be stitching mine on 14 count chalkboard black, just like I always do. The stitch count is 98 by 109, which is going to come out to 7 by 8 inches. And we are going to have a thread pack. And this is a thread pack. It's just not all here yet. Since we just found out about it, we're waiting on the thread to come in. So I'm going to be getting the printed pattern. The PDF pattern will be available in about 6 weeks. And the paper pattern should come in about 1 to 2 weeks. This will also be part of the Be Mine Stitch Along, and just like I've done on the others, it will probably be divided up into 5 sections. And I'm using the Called For Classic Colorworks. On all of the Stitching with the Housewives patterns, they do also offer DMC alternatives if you want to stitch with DMC. This next one I'm so excited about. Now this one, we're going to go into full detail next week. So today is more of a tease. I'm going to give you a little bit of information. On Flea Market Baskets by Lori, I love this center star. I think that it is just a great classic quilt block star that I thought we could do a lot of stuff with. So we stitched it. Looks so good. So you do need the pattern. This looks so amazing. I'm so proud of this. So this was stitched on Lori Holt's 10 count daisy fabric. Excuse me. This was stitched on 10 count buttermilk and with DMC. Now we are going to have DMC for each month. I'm going to kind of get into that in a little bit. But we're going to always have 5. So these are the colors we used this month. 3753, 932, 3752, 334, and 517. And we're going to do this monthly. So every month we're going to have this. This is the B Cross Stitch Fat Quarter Bundle. And we bought one, and we're going to use a different piece for each month. And the thread is matchy-matchy to be cross-stitched. So we put a ton of work into this. Now this is a brand new wooden barn from 141 Designs. She does have a YouTube channel. Her name is Chantel. So I'm going to show you 2 different options. The first one is you can buy the barn. It comes in pieces, so you paint it and then you glue it together, and then this one is going to be interchangeable. So this one is going to be Denise's, and she's going to interchange the piece and this each month. Now Denise and I are going to use the same threads each month. Hers is going to be buttermilk and barn. Mine, I'm going to stitch on Daisy 10 count by Lori Holt. Same thread. Now remember that she bought this one time and she's going to interchange it each month. What I'm going to do is at the Target dollar spot, we found this. These are $3. I'm going to make mine permanent and not interchange, just because I don't trust myself to interchange. So I'm going to make it permanent, and I'm going to do the same thread, the same fabric, and I'm going to make 12 different dollar spots. So if you take 12 times 3, that's 36. We stained this. It's going to be less expensive than that. So you can decide, do you want to do one piece or do you want to do 12 pieces? Now, it's not affordable to do this 12 times, but it is affordable to do this 12 times. Now, again, we're going to go into more detail on this. On our blog, we are going to have all the information on this in about a week, because we kind of came up with this just the other day, and totally fun. Now, so this is January. I love this. I'm so excited to be able to repurpose this pattern because I love this star so much. But I'm going to tease now some colors. And we're going to have 5 DMC colors each month for you, and everything is going to go on the blog the month before. We're not going to give you all the colors yet because that would just be giving away way too much fun too early. So we've got January, and remember, these go with the bead cross stitch fat quarter bundles, so we already know the fabrics already match the threads. And Denise bought a bundle and I bought a bundle, and so because we bought the bundle, we know we'll have enough fabric. So this is February. March. So this is a very affordable project because it's just 5 skeins. April. May. This is going to be something that's really fun. That's June. And what you need is you need 3 packages of the 10 count in whichever color you use. Now again, Denise used buttermilk. I'm going to be using Daisy. We are going to be calling this Barn Sweet Barn Sew Along. So I already wrote January in my book. The star comes out to 43 by 43, which comes out to about 4 1/3 by 4 1/3. So this is January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. I guess I should do this. October, November, and December. So this is going to look so good when it's done. Now, we have already picked the fabrics we're going to be using by month. So we know everything matches. So I'm going to lay the fabric out, but if you buy the bundle, you'll have enough fabric. So February, March, and all of these images and everything will be on the blog. Of course, you do need to buy the pattern. April, May. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. You guys are going to love this. This one's going to be fun because it's going to be very quick. And our next Stitchy Talk in February, we're going to talk about stitching on 10 count and how to get your stitches to lie nice and flat. Of course, you could do this on a 14 count, but it's just your design is not going to be big enough for those wooden pieces. So we are doing 10 count to get the effect. I feel like if you use 14 count, it's going to kind of, your design is going to get lost. And now I will clean all this up. But this, so all of this, we will have one blog post. It will be updated monthly. And when it is updated, oops, sorry, I was trying to do it neat. Doop, doop, doop. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. So, oh, and then I forgot to show you on my little house, what I'm going to do, I forgot to show you this. Oh yeah, that's good. Oh yeah, my little piece, your piece. Pull it off. Sorry. So I forgot to show you this. So this is how mine will look when it's done, except that mine will be a white fabric because I think it will match better to the white. And then what I'm going to do is get some little wreaths from the Target Dollar Spot or Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to put one of these down. And they might be different each month. So that's kind of my plan. And Denise's plan. Now, of course, we'll go into detail. I guess I went into a little bit more detail than I planned, but that's okay. Really fun. Another item that just got added today, last night actually, is Valentine Lane. So in the month of January 2022, Priscilla and Chelsea will have 4 Dapper Doodads and 4 tiered tray tidbits that are Valentine's. And so I am going to stitch all of those. Now, obviously, I've only seen this one because it just came out last night. She gave it to us last night. So this one is Valentine Lane. I'm going to be using 14 count chalkboard black. The stitch count is 42 by 56. So it's going to come out 3 by 4. I'm going to use the called for floss. And I'm going to schedule this as one of the days in Be Mine 2022. Now on our blog, we have my cross stitch project list for 2022. It's a big post, and on that post it has everything I'm doing, and it will be updated throughout the year with the different sew-alongs. Now, each individual project might not be on there, but anything that's like a big sew-along is going to be on there. There are, in addition to everything I just showed you, a couple of other ideas that we are going to be doing that I'm going to tease. So one of them is Patchwork Seasons will be continuing. It will be slightly different size, and this time it will have the season in text. So we're going to have 4 of those. They're not in my book yet. We are going to have a new series called Holiday Hallmarks, and there's going to be 4 of those. As far as stitch-alongs for 2022, I'm still going to have the Be Mine stitch-along where I stitch Valentine's designs in February. We're going to have FQS Stitch Mania where I stitch a spring stuff in May. We're going to have FQS Jolly July, where I stitch Christmas in July. We're going to have FQS Stitchtober, where I stitch fall items with Lori in October and September. Well, October, November. And then we're going to also have Jolly Housewives where I stitch more Christmas. So those are going to be our big sew-alongs. Now, last year we added Sunflower September. So at any time, if there's something that inspires me, I might add it. I do want to let you know that next week, I'm going to go through all of Cheryl's plans for 2022. I felt like it was too much to show mine and hers today because I might run out of, my voice might run out. So this is my 2022 plans. We're going to go over Cheryl's plans next week. I am going to answer questions on any of the questions that have come in before I move to the next part. Does Flea Market have enough thread for the kit to do 16 or 14? Yes, either. When using DMC, do you have any tips on unwinding / winding the floss for up to put on the floss holders? Do you cut it at all? Yes, so I have done that in a video in the past. We'll have to find that video, but I cut it into 8 strands because I used the loop method. If you're going to start and not do the loop method where you just do 2 strands, I would cut it into 16 strands. Pamela said, you have some Weeks Dye Works floss on spools. Are they changing over to spools? No. So Weeks Dye Works has offered some of their colors, like a very limited amount of their colors on the spools, but the spools are 2 strands and it's already stranded together. So you can just cut off what you need. So it's a different product. It's 2 strands versus 6. It's on the spools, and it's only some of the colors. And I haven't tried it yet, but I do hope to try it this year. Carol says, for fall on the farm, what size are you going to cut my 16 count Ada? I am going to, it finishes at 12 1/4 by 12 1/4, so I'm going to cut it 18 inches square to give myself enough room on the outside. And that one's going to be 2 hours a week. Will you show how to begin the second block in Nutcracker Village? I've never started with the center and moved to a corner. Absolutely. We're going to have to do that as part of a video, and it's probably going to have to be a standalone video because I actually don't know how to move from the center to the top left either, and I am very nervous about doing it also. Renee says, 100. I haven't been able to get my Stitch Quarterly done before the next one. I better get a move on. Oh, that's so funny. Don't feel pressured. This is just like part of my job. And then thank you to Denise from Goose. She says, happy 2022 from me and Miss Gracie. Piggy says, thank you. Now I'm going to go over a recap of all of my Jolly Housewives projects that I finished in December. And you probably have already seen these on social media, but I'm going to show these to you. The first one is Here Comes Santa Claus. It is part of the Back Up the Truck series from Priscilla and Chelsea. I stitched on 14 count chalkboard black with called for colors. I added blue to the different eyes. That was the only change I made. I'm going to send this one to Priscilla to finish for me in the basket. The second one is Buffalo Plaid Christmas, and this one is also 14 count chalkboard black. Any of these by Priscilla and Chelsea that I show you, they're all on chalkboard black. They're all called for colors, and the only change I made in them is I added eyes. And so I'm going to send this one also to Priscilla. This one is my favorite. Claus Christmas, and it has Mr. Santa Claus and Mrs. Santa Claus, and I added eyes, and that's about the only change I made. And I love this one. It was so fun. I love that it's big and rectangular because it will be a really nice centerpiece for a table, or it will just be like kind of more of a statement piece because it's a little bit bigger. Oh, this one's also my favorite. They're all my favorite. It's hard to pick a favorite. This is Gingerbread Cookies, also by Priscilla and Chelsea, and they said it's an actual recipe. Like, you could actually make it. I wouldn't trust myself to make it, though, but the only thing I did is I added eyes. And the eyes that I added, I just used Really Tealy. December calendar crates. This is the large and the small. And I already showed January, so I've already done January, which is really nice because I'm caught up, except for February, so that's super exciting. All Jarred Up is a series of different holidays, and we offer a club on that where you get each with the pattern and the floss. This one is called Hello Santa, and I'm also gonna send this one to her. This one's, oh, it's so cute. I love all of these. They're just really fun to just see your work when you're done. It's a nice way to just stop and reflect and think of, you know, all the fun you did. 'Tis the Season I just like to pretend that they designed this for me because it says Jolly. Of course, I know they didn't. I need to take these needles off before I send them to her because now I have to save my needles now that Pat Carson needles are no longer being made. This is so cute. Also for Jolly Housewives, I finished up the Sampler of the Month series by Country Cottage Needleworks. So I have all 12 finished, and I think they look good. I feel like my French knots are a little strong. Like maybe I should have done 2. Maybe I should have gone, when you twist your thread, I should have maybe done 2 because I did 3, and I feel like it really, I don't know, the eyes look a little big, but I'm excited to get this one framed. I've got to get the last couple framed, and then I will have all 12 ready, and they can kind of matchy with my Cottage of the Months by Country Cottage Needleworks. The last item that I finished was Evergreen Patchwork Seasons. I stitched this using white petty point on gray 18 count. I stitched with 1 strand and NPI thread, and I'll show you my colors. Oh, sorry, I gotta get my other book, sorry. I'll show you my colors, and I think we might have put my colors on the blog. Let's see, it's the last one. So here are my colors if you want to take a screenshot of that. And I love this one. I don't know if I might frame this one in like a really, I don't know, I think it'd be really nice in like a gray frame. So I think I am going to frame this one. And now I'm going to show you everything new. And then I will definitely answer any questions you guys have. So throw in any questions you guys might have. Now on the what's new section, since we haven't done a floss tube in a while, I just picked a couple of items since I didn't want to overwhelm, and I just picked my favorites. This is a brand new spot on lens, and it is a magnifier you can put on top of your pattern, and it's been really helpful for me. So especially if you're working with a black and white pattern that's harder to read, it's been very helpful. I will say it's a bit pricey. That would be my downfall. That would be my, this is amazing. So I'm going to show it to you on a piece. So we had these made. They're called Floss Fairy Wands. And it's glittery looking. But what it is if you need to pull out frog, is what they call it, threads, sometimes you have some little leftover pieces. And then what you can do is on the front, do this, do the same thing on the back, and all of your thread will come up. And so anything that's stuck in between the holes will come up. So I am so excited about these. I bought like 5 of them because I am like super forgetful and I lose stuff. So I have them like all over. I have like 2 at home and 2 here. I'm so excited about this product. We also have the brand new Busy Bee sticky notes. It comes in a set of 3. And I will tell you that I've been using them on my cross stitch patterns. So what I've been doing is, do we have a free pattern? Yeah, we have Heartfelt. So I'm going to kind of show a different way you can use these. And I use them because one day I couldn't find my line keeper at home. And that's what I normally use. But if I needed to keep track of where I was, because these are like a really good size, I was doing this at home so I would know where I was. So I thought, well, I should show them in FlossTube just, and I've been using them in my planner too. So these are new. I might have already shown them, I'm not sure. These I'm so excited about. So I'm sure you've seen the floss flowers. We have done one color, then we had a second colorway, and then we had a lot of people ask for white. So it comes in this package. It's by Lori Holt, and there are 12 floss flowers inside. And the packaging is really nice. And one side has kind of the pewter. And then one side has Lori's name, our name, and floss flowers. So these are very exciting. Now these just came in, so you didn't see me use any of those in my bags because I kitted up my bags before these came in. So I'm excited to get a lot of these and use these. I have a couple of new patterns that we picked. From the Heart, Needle Art by Wendy. She has been coming out with these Quaker patterns. So we have January and February. This is March. And I do know that February sold out. We have reordered it. It just hasn't come in yet. And Shepherd's Bush, this is their third pattern. They have Joy and Scary, where they stitch on our Mad for Plaid bags that I have over here. So I should stitch some of these. So they stitch on our bags because you can stitch on them, because that's why we made them. So super cute, Joy and Scary. So I'm very honored that they would use our bags for that. From Tiny Modernist, she has a new series that's going to be a 9-part series that is going to be alphabet. So part 1 has come in, and winter signs. I really love the winter signs. I for sure am going to make it. So this will either be stitched as part of Jolly Housewives or Jolly July. Probably Jolly July, and I've already picked the fabric. I'm gonna stitch on the 18 count white petty point. So I'm ready to go on this. I cannot wait. It's gonna look so good. I cannot wait. Primrose Cottage Stitches. She used to just sell PDFs. Now she's offering PDFs and paper patterns. And she has a new series called 9 Patch. And so the first 3 are available, January through March. And as far as fabric, we have decided to pick up a new vendor. The vendor is called Fox and Rabbit. So we have received some of our order. The Ada is still coming, but right now we have received 32, 36, and 40. I'm going to show you the color. It should be similar on all of them. They come in 1-yard cuts. I do understand they're very expensive. They are hand dyed, but she does only sell them in 1-yard cuts. So as of now, we're only gonna have 1-yard cuts unless she offers smaller. So I'm gonna show you the colors. Again, 32, 36, and 40 are available in 1-yard cuts. So Duxbury, Tiboshina, Hog Bristle. I have to Google what that is. I wonder what that is. Paper Bark. And I do know that Cheryl has already purchased a lot of this, so you'll see some of this stitched up. Ballet Slippers. I'm going to try to make them flat because I feel like when I put them, they kind of distort. Okay. Up at the Attic. Mayflower, Baked Clay, Tornado, there we go, and Black Swan. Now, and you just think about it, if you bought a yard, it is expensive, but it is a ton of fabric, so it will last you quite a bit. And when we're working with new vendors, we're just offering what they offer us. So I'm excited about this. Now, of course, I am not going to try any of these yet, but I am kind of venturing out. 2021 was the year of Ada. 2022, one of my goals is to work with a little bit different fabrics and to work with some new pattern designers or different pattern designers than I normally do. But my goal is to still stay within something that I still like. So I'm still going to stay with things that I enjoy. And I'm going to answer any questions. Sean says hog bristle looks like what they make brushes out of. I wonder what they make brushes out of. I'm going to Google it. I can't wait. Do the Mad for Plaid patterns come as a PDF or paper only? Paper only, so Shepherd's Bush only offers paper. They call it frogging when you pull out your stitches. And the only reason I know is Denise told me it's because she says, rip it, rip it, rip it. So I didn't know that. Denise had to tell me. Can Fat Quarter Shop make or design needles? We are working on it and have been working on it, but I will only create a product that I 100% stand behind. And I haven't found a needle yet that I like enough. Can we see all of the Country Cottage Needleworks monthly samplers together? Yes, I think we're going to do a video of all 12 of those together as a standalone video, and then another video of all 12 of the cottages of the month together, because I think that would be neat to see. Yvonne says that I should try Peacemaker's needle. They also have a bigger eye. Okay, I will try those. What is the name of the monthly Little Barns? Okay, so let's go to my book. And the pattern is Flea Market Baskets. We're calling our little sew-along the Barn Sweet Barn, and I just added the month. And in my book, I am going to do each of them individually. I haven't started January yet, but I might have it done by next week. So this one is next up on my list. Is the fabric crisp for stitch in hand? Yes, that fabric is, do you think it's stiff? I think it's pretty, it's got a stiffness. Let's see. I'll kind of, let's see. It's soft, but it's stiff at the same time, if that makes sense. So now, could I stitch in hand? No, because it's the thing that I have discovered when I've been trying linen is I can stitch in hand on even weave and I can stitch in hand on Aida. I cannot stitch in hand on linen. Now, that doesn't mean you can't. That just means that I haven't figured out a way because I've been trying. And our last question of the day is, how do I mark the floss keepers that I showed? So I took the little DMC stickers and put them here on the back. You could also just use a permanent pin, Identi-Pin, or you could get like a Sharpie, just make sure it dries before. And I put it on the back so that the front is still really nice and pretty. And I will tell you that I kind of, like, once I started it, I started moving my stickers around. So you can see that I kind of like the way I did this one, and then this one I kept moving it and decided I better not move it again. So I was kind of getting the rhythm of it. So guys, thank you so much for joining me for our first or second live stream of 2022. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and our cross-stitch newsletter that you can sign up for. It would be great if you signed up for that. And I am looking forward to a great 2022 where we can stitch together, ask questions, build a great community, and we're going to have so much fun. So I'm looking forward to 2022, and I hope you are too. Join me next Wednesday, and I'll have some progress on some of these projects I just showed you. Have a great week.